CD Projekt Red and the whole cyberpunk delay has, I think, sprung forth more and more discussion about this again, because somebody that was on that team said, oh yeah, we're going to still be crunching to get the game done by, I think it's like, what is it, September, October?
Yeah.
And so everybody, I think that kind of spurred everybody to talk about it again.
Do you feel like overall, I think like the overall survey, there was like a state of the industry that everyone's kind of doing. Gamma Sutra has been doing one. I know EGDA kind of been sharing their news. And overall, at least the last couple of years, what I saw was there's been actually a decrease in overall crunchiness. So there's been an effect in the last 2 years where developers have been at least conscious of their rights as game developers, and maybe because of the a lot of the expose articles that's been kind of turning a light onto the game industry as a whole has been making an impact. Is this an assessment that you agree, Richard? How do you feel about it?
Well, actually, since you gave us a hint and said that you read the Gamma Sutra State of the Industry, I just sped read it. I think that so for the people who haven't read it yet, like what are the reasons you believe caused you to work those maximum number of hours a week, basically more than 40 hours? Self-pressure. I personally wasn't working hard and I felt I needed / wanted to. I think like a lot of the video game industry still runs and it will probably always run on the idea that this is an art form. You want to express yourself. You want to get your best stuff out there in front of players. When you think about a game like Cyberpunk with a ton of hype around it, and it's a large box priced game, like you have people who really want to make sure that they get their stuff out there and it's the best that it can be. Whenever I read about articles of crunch like being bad, like the last one I remember was with Grand Theft Auto Rockstar, and yeah, that's another like big ass game that takes a lot of effort and energy, and you really only get like one big shot to make that super awesome first impression and to meet everyone's expectations around your game. So I definitely can relate to that. I think like that's a main reason why like 40 hours plus is still always going to be around. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. What are you saying, Ray?
No, I'm saying part of it, like, yeah, so some people would like to believe that it's just, I want to get my best stuff out and I need to work harder to get my best stuff out, right? But like when you're on a team like that, even when I saw the same the State of the Industry survey where it's like, oh, it's self-pressure, it's I want to do it, right? A lot of times it may feel like that, or you may tell yourself that. But at the same time, it's you want to make sure that you're pulling your weight on the team and everybody else is there late. There's nobody to tell you to go home. There's also somebody telling you that, or somebody setting the schedule up in such a way where in order for you to get your best stuff out, you have to crunch, right? Rather than setting it up in such a way where you can have a time to polish and have a regular work-life balance and still produce high quality stuff, right? People always use like, yeah, we always want to cram more stuff in and make it great, right? But that's where the management and the people running the teams need to be like, nah, this is good enough, all right? Or put time in to get that polish in, right? So that people don't have to kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, like, I totally agree. Like, so I think it's on both sides. Like, the people are willing to put in the hours. Like, I don't know how many, I don't have any stats off the top of my head, but like, how many of the people who are crunching, like what age are they? Like, is this their first game? I mean, you can look at the people themselves, but ultimately it does come down to how the team is managed, how the schedule is set up. Like, is there time to polish? Is there time to accurately estimate how long any major task is going to take. Since I shifted to like indie stuff and I'm working with my family, I need to make sure that it's like really tightly scoped to keep that work-life balance going. And it's given me a lot of empathy towards understanding precisely how much time is needed for a feature to get done. And I don't think that in larger corporations, like that much attention can be given across the entire project. So I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but it's definitely like how like people want to give their best effort, but also just like, do they have enough time to do it, and are they overtasked?
Yeah, I think at least my measure by default with crunching is that anything more than 5 people, it becomes a choice. Because essentially when you're working with a large team, there's a lot of gates in place to kind of prevent problems with delay of game or quality stuff not getting in, right? To me, it becomes more about peer pressure and bad planning than actually trying to push this game that is so close to being the best, right? It's not about ledge. And so my understanding with that, and my, there was a certain point in my career where I just said no, right? Just like straight up Neo, just looking at him and said no. And a lot of that is because of experience, but just not wanting to be taken advantage of and fall into the peer pressure of things. And so I just see the long game of crunching. So with crunching, I think essentially I think we all agree, right? With smaller teams, because there's so many factors, so many variables at hand that you're juggling with many disciplines at once, and you're essentially maybe working on this game for the first time as a group, that it's hard to account for all things. And with larger teams, until we fix that problem where a 5-year game is actually being made the last 2 years or last year, I'm not crunching the first 3 years of this 5-year development. No, I mean, it's most of these games that get delayed, like we were talking about Cyberpunk, right? That game is essentially just being locked down the last 2 years of development. There was a lot of high ranking officers kind of leaving at pretty much right after the first trailer announcement was made, right? A lot of high departures being made shortly after that, because the game was nothing but like an idea, right? It wasn't fully fleshed out, and there were problems already happening. So you guys can speak on this, right? You guys have been leads of major games. Most people kind of stick to the end just to get that credit. But for you to leave before the game is out, and allegedly it's getting a bunch of hype, right? It usually means because of production problems that you just don't believe in or agree with the creative control of what's happening with the project. It's not because it's super tight. At least in most of the cases, correct?
Yeah, like for a game like Cyber. Sorry.
No,
There's
go ahead.
A delay, so I don't know if you. Oh yeah. All right, so I was gonna say it was like I think like games like that, which have a lot of hype to it. I mean, so much of like what you have to do when you like manage a product like that is like hype it up, and you need to get people excited about it. You need to get people to get invested into it. Like way back then, like pre-sales mattered, but now it's a much different like sort of market that doesn't matter as much. But you still want to stand out. The industry is only getting larger and larger, and there's still more money that goes into these games. People are spending more. Like the spending patterns of like consumers is like always just like increased over time. For a game like I haven't like done like a full analysis on this, but I think like if you were to like make a checkbox of like things on a product that would contribute to crunch, I think stuff like, how long has it been in development? How is it a new IP? Like how much like content is being promised and stuff. I mean, I think there's a correlation that you can draw. I mean, it's not like, these companies are actually thinking about like how their product is similar to other big products, and how should they scope their stuff differently. So I think like a lot of these like jam ups that you see with big delays, like for Cyberpunk and even like Final Fantasy VII Remake, these things like just are just part of the game industry, and like you never know. Like sometimes it's like sometimes it's not the development team's fault. Maybe they've got to wait for things like gold masters or regulations or other geopolitical stuff. Like who knows? Like there's definitely reasons for these delays, and sometimes it's due to poor planning. And I would like to say that most of the time it's not because of that, but you never really know.